minister to you this morning for about 4 hours. Then I'll cut it down to 35 minutes because I heard a few people say, we'll give 1,000 if you'll keep it short. Just kidding. How many's happy? Notify your spirit. Say, I'm happy. I have hope. I have the joy of the Lord. Now raise your hands toward Pastor. And God has blessed this church with many, many men and women that pastor, that are ministers, that are greater than I, but I thank God that He's allowed me to be with them. So here's my prayer. Father, today I thank you and I praise you and I glorify you that you have blessed our church with the greatest ministry, Father, through pastors, through ministers, through reverends, through elders and deacons, ushers and greeters, teachers, helpers, and congregation. So this servant comes before you this morning, first and foremost asking for forgiveness of any and all sin. For truly today, God, to stand behind this sacred desk is a privilege. And to minister your word is even a greater privilege. So today, I stand before this congregation, you asking that you will anoint the very lips of clay. Let this heart of flesh be anointed by your Spirit. Let my mind today be influenced only by what you had once said. And Father, I thank you today for this great, awesome opportunity. Thank you that I'm a servant among servants. And let me never forget, I'm just a servant. Not a lord or a master or a king. I'm just a servant. So Father, to you I give praise and glory. And everyone said, amen. Now we've got a message called, It's Not Over Till It's Over. Or it's not over until God says it's over. It comes out of the book of Acts chapter 27, verses 19 through 25. And as you turn there, and it might be on the board up there, it says, On the third day we threw the ship's tackle overboard with our own hands. Now when neither the sun nor the stars appeared for many days, and no small tempest beat upon us, all hope that we had to be saved was finally given up. How many's ever given up on hope? I've been there, to be honest. I've been there. I mean, I've had some trials, situations, some battles. I've seen things happen. I've heard things happen that's caused sometime my hope to become weakened. But when I read Paul's writing, here's what he says in the next scripture. But after a long absence from food, then Paul stood in the midst of them and said, Men, you should not have listened. You should have listened to me and not have sailed from Crete to incur upon this disastrous and loss. I now urge you to take heart. What he's saying is, it's not over till God says it's over. Take heart. Get courage. For there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. Now listen, we've got to stay aboard the house of God. We've got to stay aboard the ship of Zion. Whether you go to this church or you go to another church, maybe you're this morning just visiting this church here, and there's a lot of great churches around America. We're not the only church. But I want you to understand, many are jumping ship today because of things that are happening around the world. Well, I want you to understand this. No world power has the power over my God. And my God is still in charge of your life and my life. And I understand that many are upset with the president, but let me tell you this. Read the story about Cyrus. You remember King Cyrus, how he allowed Nehemiah to leave and go build the walls and rebuild Jerusalem? Understand this. We're in terrible times. We're in very perilous times. We're in times where people are committing suicide by the minute. Not by the hour, but by the minute throughout the world. Why? Because they cannot see any hope. They cannot feel that there's ever going to be any hope because it's all been washed away because they've lost money, lost home, lost family, or lost everything they've had. But Paul goes on down and says this. For there stood by me this night an angel of God to whom I belong and to whom I serve. Now he's not talking about the angel, but the angel of the Lord stood beside him. And here was it saying, do not be afraid. Now what does that mean? It means it's not over till God says it's over. Paul said if you just stay on board the ship, don't jump. Yes, the waves will be big, the seas will be swelling, but I want you to understand, even though the water's coming over the edge, if you'll stay on board the ship, it will not be over. It's not over till my God says it's over. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care what you've been through. Hear me today. God's got a plan for your life. God's got a plan for your life. God's got a plan for your life. He's not through with you yet. Get yourself up, and tell God, I'm here for the very final part of my life. Doesn't mean today, doesn't mean tomorrow. I like the next part where he says. Says you must be brought before Caesar. Now understand, Paul knew it wasn't over until God said it over. Because here's what he says. Saying, be not be afraid. You must be brought before Caesar, and indeed God has granted you all those who sail with you. Therefore take heart. Again he says the same thing. Take heart, men. For I believe God that it will be just as he has told me. What was Paul saying? It's not over because I'm on this ship. It's not over because I'm in cuffs. It's not over because I'm in chains. It's not over because people talk bad about me. It's not over because everything's going crazy. It's not over till my God says it's over. And when he says it's over, no man can stop it. No man can stop it. See, I want you to understand, God's got you in the palm of his hand, and he will not let go. You've got to jump out, or you've got to release yourself. People said, I just don't think God hears me. See, God hears us from the moment we begin to think till it becomes processed out of our lips. God hears us. Acts 28, verse 1 through 7 says, now when they had escaped, now you got to read, you have to go back up here and read 28, 27, and find out what he escaped from. It says, escape. They found out that the island was called Malta. And the natives showed us unusual kindness. For they had kindled a fire and made us all welcome. But the rain that was falling, and because of the cold, it says, but Paul went and gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire, and a viper came out because of the heat and fastened to his hand. How many knows there's going to be times that the devil is going to try his best to take you down? There's going to be times that you're doing something good and the devil's going to show up with something bad. There's always going to be a time that you're going to think, it's over. But hear this. It's not over until God says it's over. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care about your circumstance. I don't care about your health. I don't care about what the doctor says. I don't care what your family says. I don't care what the lawyer says. I don't care what the world says. It's not over for you and I until God says it's over. It's not over. Paul said, stay on the ship. Listen to me. An angel stood by me last night and gave me word from God and said, all that stay on the ship shall be saved. See, sometimes we look at the wave, how big it is, instead of the God that created the sea and know how big he is. I serve a mighty big God. Now, let's read on down. I like this part here. When we're reading from Acts, I always understand that Acts is a very powerful book because it is the Acts of the Apostle. And it says in verse 5, and he shook off the creature into the fire and suffered no harm. However, they were expecting that he would swell up or suddenly fall down dead. But after they had looked for a long time and saw no harm come to him, they changed their mind. They changed their mind. See, someone's watching your life. Someone's looking at you for hope. Someone's looking for you for salvation. Someone knows that you're a Christian. They know you go to church, you profess Jesus Christ, and they know that everything you do is wrapped around the Word of God, wrapped around the power of the Holy Ghost. They're watching to see, are you going to die because the storm's too mighty? But you're going to look back and say, it's not over till my God says it's over. I want you to hear me. I might be in the hospital and the doctors give me up, but God says, I'm not finished with you. Get up out of the bed. Get up out of the sickness. Don't let it get you down because I'm not through with you. See, we get through with ourselves way before God gets through with us. I believe many people die prematurely. Why? Because the doctor said, doesn't look good. You know, people die every day. Now, we're going to do our best to save you, but you might die. So guess what? We don't hear about might save you. What we hear is the word die. I love it when somebody says, well, the doctor says I got cancer. But God says, by his stripes you're healed. See, it's not over. Just because the doctor says you got cancer, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel. Don't get out of the ring. See, my God is able to outvote every doctor, all medicine, everyone that has a word of negativity. My God will send an angel to stand beside you and march right through the gates of hell and tell you, it's not
your book. God is the author and the finisher of your faith. All you've got to do is look at them. Oh, you may be on your knees, you may be on your belly, or you may be on your back. But don't you give up, and don't you give in, and don't you start quitting. It's not time to quit yet. It's time to look at the demons and the devil and the power of hell and say, it's not over till my God says it's over. I'm not serving you, devil. I'm serving God. You may be trying to take me out, but God's lifting me up. I'll be out of here before you know it. Your demons won't even know I'm gone. We've got to understand, we're serving a living God. We're serving a mighty God. Let's go for it. I'm going to have to skip this and go to the next one. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23 through 33. 23 starts out this way. Are they all ministers of Christ? There's a question mark. I speak as a fool. I am more. In labor more abundantly. In stripes above measure. In prison more frequently. In death often. But through it all, it's not over. Through it all, he wrote to the church and said, it's not over yet. Yes, they've got me in chains. Yes, I was looking at a death sentence. But let me tell you, my God on that ship told me, if I'll stay true to him, it's not over until God says it's over. So I'm not going to die in the ocean. I'm not going to die here where I'm at today. I'm going to live until God's finished with me. And then I'm going to hang up this old body and I'm going to go on to the very glory of God, to the throne. I like the next one. It says, from Jews 5 times I received 40 stripes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with a rod. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I have spent in the deep. And sojourned often in perils of water, in perils of robbers, in perils of my own countrymen, in perils of Gentiles, in perils of the city, in perils of the wilderness, in perils of the sea, in perils among false brethren, in weariness and toil, in sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst, in fasting often, and in cold and naked often. He said, through all of that, I knew that God wasn't finished with me. And all of that, I knew it wasn't over till God says it's over. See, I don't care what you're going through today. I don't care what your family may talk about you today. I'm telling you today, keep your mind on God. Keep your mind on the purpose that God has put in your life. Get your dream once again and hold it in your presence, not in the presence of your enemy. And let God know today, I believe you're not through with me. I'm still being worked on. I'm still a jewel in the hand of a mighty God. And I shall not die until God is finished with me. So it doesn't matter what the pastor says. It doesn't matter what doctors say. It doesn't matter what lawyers say. It doesn't matter what the court says. It doesn't matter what the government says. My God's in charge. See, my God's in charge. Your God's in charge. By now, I'm supposed to be dead 15 years ago. But see, I want you to understand something. It's not over till God says it's over. Once I got through that, guess what? I almost felt like Paul, not quite that bad. But in a motorcycle wreck, we're dying 3 times in the hospital, wanting to walk again. And all of a sudden they kept telling me, he may not make it. But something in my spirit kept telling me, it's not over till God says it's over. You get up out of this bed. You get those legs to walking. I'm not finished with you. And don't let the devil steal your joy. Don't let him steal your peace. Don't let him steal that love. Don't let him steal that forgiveness. Don't let him steal your healing. See, it's not over till God says it's over. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel because it's not over yet. You ain't heard an angel. You're hearing God speak from heaven through his word. I'm not through with you yet. I'm still working on you. And it won't be over, child, until I say it's over. The devil may try to kill you. The devil may try to destroy you. He may try to take your very life and ruin everything you stand for. But understand this. I've got you in the palm of my hand. I'm taking care of you. And I'm not going to let you die. I'm not through with you. Through your trial, through your circumstance, through your situation. I'm still God. I'm still Alpha and Omega. I'm still the beginning and the end. Let me tell you, it's not over, child, until God says it's over. But if you don't believe that, it's like going down the highway, you see a sign that says, dead end. and you just step on the gas pedal. That dead end ain't going to remove itself. It's still a dead end. That barrier that's going to take you out is still going to be there. So I want you to understand, my life and your life is in the hand of a mighty, powerful, and the only true, there is no other God. He is Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. Sometimes we die prematurely in our ministry because someone said something about our ministry and we tried to fight back in the physical, and that just made it worse. So what happens? We backslide. We give up. We throw in the towel. We begin to converse with the devil. I knew I'd never make it. I felt that would never happen. But listen to me. I am living proof it's not over till God says it's over. God doesn't care what the devil says. He's not caring what the judge says, or the doctor say, or your lawyer says, or your family. God's not worried about none of that. So don't you be worried. See, you're in the hand of Almighty God. How many knows you're saved? How many know you're saved? How many knows you're really saved? Are you really saved? How many knows you're in the hand of Almighty God? How many know God loves you? You cannot explain God's love. I don't care if you got every book in the world and try to find the best words to say. You can't understand how powerful God's love really is. You don't know how strong His mercy and His grace can endure. Hallelujah. See, I want you to understand. You're not serving Buddha. You're not serving Mohammed. You're not serving Krishna. You're serving Jehovah Elohim, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Hallelujah. And He says, it's not over. If you could talk to old Jonah in the belly of the well, he would tell you it's not over till God says it's over. If you could talk to Daniel this morning, going into the lion's den, the first thing he would tell you, I knew it wasn't over. I went in and laid down with that lion. I brushed his mane because I knew it wasn't over till God told me it was over. The Hebrew children, they didn't lay down in that fiery furnace. They began to praise and worship God even though they were bound. Why? Because they knew it would not be over till their God said it was over. Now, all of them that I just gave you note for become very influential in government. Have you read their story? They didn't get out of jail, get out of the belly of the well, didn't get out of the fire furnace, didn't get out of the lion's den, and go, well, praise God. Whew, I beat that one. I better go hide for a while. Because I don't want to get in that mess again. No. You know what? They didn't back up. They didn't back out. And they wouldn't back down. They had trusted in someone they knew that could take care of them. And they would look the demons and the devils and the powers of this world right in the face and say, go ahead. Put me in the lion's den. Go ahead. Put me in the fiery furnace. I love it when the king came to the fiery furnace. He said, I see the fourth man. I can almost hear the Hebrew children say, I told you. I told you. Hallelujah. Oh, yes, everyone that you sent here before you got here died from the heat. But in the midst of all hell, God's Son shows up. And He brings the air conditioning power of heaven. And I knew it was not over. See, if you're going through hell, don't stop. If you're catching hell, don't hold on. It's time that you and I realize my God, your God, our God is so powerful that the very demons in hell tremble at His name. Let me go on. Let's go down there. Let's go down to verse 30. Just take me down to verse 30, if you would, please. Oh, no, let's go to 29. It says, who is weak? And I am not weak. Who is made to stumble? And I do not burn with indignation. If I must boast, I will boast in the things which concern my infirmity. Or that word is weaknesses. I mean, even Paul had weaknesses. Just because you have a bad day don't mean it's over. Just because you get a bad report or you lose your job, it's not over. See, my God and your God says, I will make a way where there seemeth to be no way. But you can't quit because it's not over till I tell you it's over. And you don't get over until I tell you it's over. You're not going to die. You're not going to live. You're not going to go down. I am in charge of your life. I've seen a lot of young Christians go down because, you know what? Report. I like what the word says. Whose report shall you believe? I shall believe the report of the Lord. See, understand that you're in the hand of the most, not the most, the only power in the world. Your God, my God, our God, spoke the sun to shine, spoke the moon to glow, spoke the stars to sparkle, spoke the earth into existence. That God is the God that you and I serve. If he can take the water and evaporate it and let the very earth come up out of it, and he can give the very life to the very animal, life to the very man, life to the very... Don't you think he's able to give life to you, even though you're the worst nightmare? And the great thing of it is, when he expelled, I don't want to use the word kick, expelled Adam and Eve from the garden, put skins of animal on him, what he was saying, Adam and Eve, even though I'm expelling you because of your sin, it's not over until I say it's over. See, I don't care what your sin was, what your sin is, or where your sin's going. I'm telling you right now, if you allow God to put the blood of Jesus Christ upon you, the word will come. I am not finished with you. I've got a ministry for you. I've got a dream for you. I've got a mission for you. I've got a purpose for you. So it's not over until I tell you it's over. Don't get on your knees and bow before the devil and all his demons. Understand this. I'm God. They obey me. I don't obey them. Now, that's very powerful. Thank you, sir. That's very powerful because in the book of Matthew, that power is turned over to who? Satan? No. The church. The church. The church. The power is turned over to the church. In the book of Acts, did the devil get the power? No. Where did the power go? To the church. Why? Because Jesus said, I must go back. But just remember this. Just because I died and was buried, I rose again, it's still not over. There's a battle fixing to happen like you've never seen. And when I come back with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, listen to me. It's not over. Look at your neighbor and say, it's not over. It's not over. Till God says it's over. Don't you quit. God's not finished with you yet. Hallelujah. I like this part here. It says, in Damascus, the governor, verse 32. Well, let me go to 31. And God the Father, the Lord Jesus Christ, who is blessed forever, knows that I am not lying. That's pretty powerful. Paul, a man of God, has got to tell his church, I'm not really lying. I put my hand on the Bible, man. I swear to God, I'm not lying. No. See, many people hear about miracles, about breakthroughs, about deliverances, but they don't understand it because they're still locked up in that cell of yesterday. And that chain of regret. And those binders of unforgiveness. Well, the minute you ask Jesus to forgive you, he sets you completely free. The only thing that can hold you in bondage is you. See, my wife can't hold me in bondage. My family tried to hold me in bondage, but they couldn't hold me in bondage. They reminded me every day for several years when I started in the ministry, if they only knew who you were, you'd never preach another day of your life. I looked at them and said, thank God my yesterdays have been covered by the blood. My life sanctified by the Spirit. And I said this to my family way before this message ever come along. You may say it's over, but God hasn't said it's over. Now, I understand that family members are some of the hardest people to give forgiveness. Because, see, they know us. And when you are elevated by God, it makes them jealous. Why? Because, see, they would rather stay in regret, unforgiveness, and ruin than to climb out of the shambles of their life and get into the anointing of God and get washed in the blood, anointed by the Spirit, and climb into the presence of God. See, God says it's not over until I say it's over. I understand. Let me read on that because I got to get you out of here. Okay, verse 32. In Damascus, the governor, under Artius, the king, was guarding the city of Damascens with a garrison desiring to arrest me. But, verse 33, but I was let down in a basket through a window in a wall Paul and escape from his hands. See, Paul heard from God on the ship. I'm not through with you yet. You shall go to Rome. You shall minister to many. So in Paul's heart, death had no hold. Yesterday had no power. Men could not kill him. The world could not hold him. Demons could not possess him. Grave was not ready for him. Why? Because he heard on the boat an angel spoke to him and said, you're not going to die till God's through with you. You're going to Rome and you're going to minister to millions. See, most of us give up too early and find out too late. We give up at an early age because our life's got a lot of life in it. And before we realize our life is at the end, and all the things we could have done have not been done. Why? Because, see, we throw it in the towel because it got a little too hard. My son-in-law and I was talking about his dad. We're by ourselves. I need to talk to you. I said, okay. We talked about some very heavy stuff that's going on in the world and going on in the church world. He said, do you find it harder to pastor today than you did 35 years ago? I said, yes, I do. He said, why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? I said, because today, too many Christians think they know everything. They can turn on the internet, find any preacher they want to hear, turn on the television, hear 15 different directions, and then when they come to church, they don't have time to listen to you because they're on some kind of electronic device, not paying attention to you. I understand that, Stephen. But let me tell you something. That don't mess with my mind. Because, see, I know it's not over with me until God says it's over. I just tell God this, God, if they don't want to hear me, let them go somewhere else. Send me people that want to hear the truth and want to hear some of the ministers in our church. See, that's the reason God sent other pastors here. Not because I'm great, but because we're going to be great. How many knows it takes a team? It takes a team. See, I knew that when a few other pastors left here giving word that I was going to die, I wasn't going to make it, and even prayed that I would die and that my wife would be left alone, I knew not to worry about it. Why? Because I understand that God is not through with me yet. If I was to die, I would have died with cancer in 2001. If God was through with me, I would have died in 2006. If God was through with me, I would have died in 2008 and a half when I had a blood disease and I was bleeding out. See, I understand one thing. Don't give up in the midst of the storm. Stay in the boat. Yeah, the waves are going to get high. The winds are going to blow. The temperatures are going to be hard. But listen to me. He who's in the boat with you is greater than he is on the outside of that boat. God is telling you this morning, don't you give up. Don't you throw in the towel. It's not over yet. I'm not finished. I got a plan for your life. Let me have your life. Let me take you to the next elevated part of my blessing. And let me show you what I got in store for you. See, no matter what man may say or man may try to... Now, I understand there are things that I have to pay attention to. I mean, I just can't never and believe everything. Somebody, well, yeah, they're the best thing since popcorn. Well, I don't like popcorn that much. Gets stuck in my teeth. I don't know about you. Gets stuck in my teeth. I have to brush my teeth. No, I understand that I need a gift called the discernment of spirits. I mean, that's the only gift I ever prayed for, discernment of spirit. Why? I want to know, is it God telling me or is it man telling me? Am I fearing man or am I fearing God? Fear of man brings turmoil. Fear of God brings praise and reverence. Okay? So I understand that God is not through with me. He's not through with you. I like Romans, so let's go here to Romans chapter 8, verses 36 to 39. As it is written, for your sake we are killed all day long. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Yet in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. I like this part. For I am persuaded, Paul says, it ain't over till God says it's over. That's what persuaded means. See, you've got to have a made-up mind. You've got to have a made-up mind. Don't get to where you think you're never going to have a trial, never going to face a circumstance, never going to have a situation that's so big you can't handle it. And so if you can't handle it, you begin to think God can't handle it. Let me tell you what, God's bigger than you. He's bigger than me. He's bigger than the world. He can handle anything the devil throws at you. Even some of the cases where I got myself into that situation. Sometimes I caused the circumstance. Sometimes I'm the one that started the trial. Hello. See, because I'm not perfect, and I know I'm not perfect, thank God, because I've been around some pastors think they can spit, and everything they spit on will grow. Well, let me tell you, not all slava is anointed. You have to understand, it's not about who you are until God shows you who He is, that you can stand up in the face of your enemy and say, it's not over till God says it's over. I don't care how rich, how poor, how famous, infamous, is that the word even? Infamous? How you say that word? Okay. Trying to learn English, it's hard. I speak Josiah, and a lot of people can't understand me when I speak Josiah. So I'm trying to learn English. So I understand this one thing. He says, through all these things I'm persuaded neither death nor life, nor angels nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, neither height nor depth, nor any other creature, any other created thing shall be able to separate us from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. See, I want you to understand today that God has a plan for your life. Now, you may think your life is so messed up that nobody's paying attention. See, I want you to, two people paying attention. Oh, you probably got family people. Don't pay attention to them. The church may criticize you. Listen, if it's godly criticism, please listen to it and try to get your life straight. Not all criticism is bad. See, if you can't handle criticism, you won't never handle people. I love it when somebody says, yeah, they just criticize me all the time. You have just entered into the holy zone. And understand, you have a scripture to back you up. Beware when all men speak good of you. Thank God I have fulfilled that obligation a billion times. And I don't try to upset people. But see, I'm so excited and encouraged today in the Spirit. Because see, God is so good. Not only is He good, but He is faithful, He's merciful, He's just, He's loving, and He's forgiving. He's a provider, He's a way maker, He's the forgiver of all my past. He's a rewarder of all my present, and He's the superpower of all my future. See, I understand that it's not over until God says it's over. See, today, my son-in-law was asking me another thing. He said, "Do you ever feel like quitting?" I said, "Do you want the truth or do you just want to answer it?" "Do you ever feel like quitting?" I said, "I do." There's times I would like to walk away from here, just get in my motor home and drive. But I understand this one thing. That's the devil trying to get in God's business. That's the devil trying to destroy God's purpose. That's the devil trying to take me out of God's range. That's the devil trying to stop me from reaching the next blessing. And then I had to turn and I said, "Yes, Stephen, I do. There's days I feel like quitting. But you know what I do, Stephen? That's the days I drive in my car by myself. Or I get in the barn, that old hot heat, and I fall on my knees. And I say, "God, I know you sent me here. Don't let the devil stop me from doing what you called me to do. Let me know it's not over until you say it's over. I haven't heard you say it's over, but I've heard you say, son, get up. We're ready for the next step. I'm ready to elevate. I'm ready to consecrate. And I'm ready to motivate." So in finishing is this. I wasn't just here to preach to you. I came this morning to ignite your faith, to give you hope, and build your trust in God. Not me. I'm not here to hype you up. I'm here to stir up the gift that's in you, as Paul told Timothy. See, today may be a day that the devil would want you to quit. And tomorrow is the day that God's going to break through a new dawning. And you're going to step into a great anointing, a great ministry. Now, it's not always preaching. How many of preaching is not just a ministry? There's all type of ministry. But if you quit today, how many will be lost tomorrow? If you quit today, how many have no hope for tomorrow? See, sometimes I don't quit because I have a conscience. How many of you have a conscience? Sometimes we call it conviction. But my conscience says, God called you, God ordained you, God will keep you, and God will bless you. It's not time to quit. Quit your bickering, quit your backbiting, quit your fault finding, But all the things that the devil wants you to do, I'm bringing you into a brand new part of this territory of my kingdom. And when I bring you in there, I want you to know it's not time to throw the towel in yet. See, God's got a plan for your life. Even though it may appear that all hope is gone and everyone else is finished and dead in you, remember this. It's your race with God, not theirs. And I want you to hear this. God knows your strength and knows how He wants to give you. Knows what you can take and what you can't take. The great thing about God is He's always just.